All right, Klefbombers, we're back. Fantasy week 13 coming up here. For a lot of people, it's playoff week starting this week, next week. For us, we're gangsta. We're going into the finals this week. Unfortunately, none of us. I didn't make it. It's heartbreaking.
My season's over, so
Yeah. So, yeah, your season's completely over. I'm heading into third place match, which I could care less about.
I think you and Dylan are in the same boat.
I wanted to win, and when it came down
Hey,
to
there's
that,
still $75 worth your time on the line.
whatever.
Finish it out.
I will. I'm gonna give it a valiant effort, but yeah, the fantasy week that just passed was a little crazy. I know for fantasy owners out there that held some high ranked goalies, they got lit up all over the place.
There's some ugly numbers across the board.
Yeah, some
for the
ugly
most
numbers.
part
Some
last
other
week.
goalies came through in the clutch if you had those. So if you're in a playoff week, and it really depended on what goalie you had. If you had one like Vasilevsky or Fleury, you did all right. On the other side, if you had the other top ranked goalies of Grubauer or someone else, not so much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just sorry, I'm
Want
running.
to get into waiver wiring?
Yeah, I'm running a new system, so I'm just trying to get used to this new. I'm trying to something new with this podcast to try and spice it up a little bit, visually at least. As we start to get more advanced, it's gonna pop off up in here. So, yeah, let's get into the waiver wiring. You can. In our,
So yeah,
our
this is kind of an idea that we've kind of come up, and it's going to be molding and self-evolving. But where we're at is we're kind of looking at generally across multiple leagues, not restricting it. In some cases, there'll be more value to certain other leagues, but we'll go over people and pick people each week. And then, as you can see there, red is bad advice, green is good advice. We can touch on the advice we gave the prior week, see if we know what we're talking about in any sense, or if we're just galaxy braining nothing that's actually worth anything.
One thing's important to say is it's all results oriented at this point. Like, sure enough, like I like for instance, I graded myself as a fail on Nick Ritchie. I would still back a week ago, I still would have slam dunk picked him up every time. He didn't get any points in 5 games, so like that. Sorry, it was a fail. Sorry if you listen, but I still think
Fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a little bit results oriented, but whatever.
Exactly. I mean, we got to keep in mind, just similar to baseball. I mean, nobody hits 1,000, right? So, like, in terms of fantasy, if we hit 25%, we hit on two things a week. That's probably a good week.
Yeah,
2 or 3 things.
Agreed.
So, I mean, that being said, let's get into last week. You already kind of just nailed on Rich. I'm not sure if you want to add anything else, but go through your players there quick, I guess.
Nick Ritchie I hit on. Sam Reinhart, I gave it a win. He didn't have like the greatest week, a couple points. He shot a lot for what he was doing, but overall I liked the target because of how Buffalo put up a lot of goals last week. And unfortunately, he wasn't there getting involved, so I still call it a win because I think on another week he could have had 6-7 points, and he's still very much rosterable. Jack Hughes had very good last 2 games of the week. If you picked him up in the latter half, he had a 3-point game, and then a goal as well on another game. So definitely, if he's the bottom of your roster, it definitely was probably a solid pickup last week.
Apparently on Jack Hughes, he had one of the highest like bad luck ratings or rankings over the last 2-3 weeks. Yep. So I don't know what that actually equates to, but probably a lot of posts.
Like I said with him too, a lot of it when I brought it up last week is it was all feel for him. Just watching him play, I like where he's at. He's gonna be a star, I think. Going down though to defenseman and goalie picks, Grzelcyk, complete failure. Didn't pull through, but all around Boston was a failure for a team last week. Grzelcyk's now out with an injury too, so he missed I think a little bit of the last game. And Jones, I told the crew it was a huge gamble, and the gamble did not pay off. I said if only go for it if you're desperate, and if you listened to me, you probably would have been in the similar boat to how Grubauer owners felt at least.
Yeah, that's true. And as you can see here, I think you have up for both week 12 and 13, right, on the screen?
Yeah, right now, yeah. You can see what we're going to get to in a second here.
Okay, so week 12 here, obviously, it doesn't have the hold or sell. That's even a new development since last week.
Yeah.
These will continue to mold as we kind of figure out whether or not this is too much of a chore or task, and not that it's a chore or task, but to do this research when we're doing 2 podcasts a week on top of everything else, on top of your baseball pods, it might be a little bit much. So we might cut back. But that being said, you can see how the one is just about buying in week 12. So that being said, the people who I was talking about buying was Jason Robertson from Dallas.
Yep.
And he's been on fire. He's been shooting about average 4 shots per game. He doesn't really hit. But I mean, if you're not looking for hits, that's irrelevant. He's performing at a higher level right now than anybody. I think it was over the last 22 days. He's 3rd in the league in scoring.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. So I thought that I deserved some good advice on that one. Poor advice was Rickard Rakell. He still hasn't returned yet from his injury. I thought he would have been back by now. Had you listened to me, you would have had wasted an ad unless you had a bye week and you were just stashing him.
Yeah.
But even then,
you did make that little asterisk to, like, he's more of a stash at this point too.
True, but didn't really do much for you this past week.
True that.
And I'm not sure how much he's going to provide moving forward because Anaheim's going with that youth movement, right? Yep. For a little bit anyways. So I don't know how much of the puck time he's going to get. If there was an option to do middle advice, not poor or bad, I would have picked this for Galchenyuk. I still think that we'll get into it a little bit with my pick for this week, but I think the Leafs have a little bit of that dynamic going on right now of how's the dust going to settle, and those complementary pieces that are going to end up riding shotgun with the Tavares and Nylander or the Marner and Matthews. Are those guys going to be producing, right? So Galchenyuk, I've been impressed with. He has been a puck hound since he got to Toronto and got called up. He has been the guy on the line that gets out there looking for the puck. So I like that aspect with Matthews and Marner. If he keeps working hard, he could stick on that top line. Yeah. And that could be really, really, really good for his fantasy outlook.
Sounds good.
In terms of defense, Colton Parayko, I know he hasn't had much offense. I know St. Louis has still been struggling, but I mean, they've got a lot of kind of pieces that they haven't been used to playing with at certain times over the last basically calendar year, really.
Yeah.
They had some questions on tradable pieces, I think. And once we get to our standings predictions, we can get into it more. I know not this week, but in future weeks for the post-trade deadline. Something tells me St. Louis is going to be one of the better teams down the stretch here after the trade deadline.
Exact same gut feeling with them right now as well.
Yeah. So I think Parayko is going to be a big part of that, and I think that he is somebody to still keep an eye on if you're looking for a defenseman.
Agreed.
I hit better on my what do we call it? My my second choice. Yeah, I picked 2. The first one was Calvin Peterson. I've been nothing but wrong on this guy every time this year. I've added him 4 separate times in fantasy, and they're probably 4 of his 5 or 6 worst starts on the season. Every time I tell anybody, hey, check into this guy, or anytime I read a statistic about him having an amazing save percentage, I look into him and I consider him, and then he bites me in the ass, and he did it again last week. Yeah, and Jonathan Quick kind of keeps taking the time a little bit, and then he shits the bed and kind of just gives it back to Peterson.
Back and forth for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that was good advice. But Linus Ullmark, I did put the asterisk on that I thought he was going to be traded. It sounds like he's actually considering extension, which is shocking to me.
Yeah, that's crazy. Good news for Buffalo fans.
But the one thing I will say is that if Buffalo had traded him and not got a goalie back that was qualified for expansion, they would have had to go out and trade an asset to get a goalie just to expose. So them re-signing Ullmark even to a 1-year deal gets them what they need. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 1 or 2-year deal that you see there to kind of be like, hey, let's see what happens. It satisfies both parties. We're going to ram you down the throat next year if it first starts and see what happens. But yeah, I think that he is no longer really a guy that's rosterable, especially if you're in a loss categories league. Like if losses count, that's going to hurt you. But saves and save percentage, I think he's going to help you.
Yeah, I agree with that. But he's one of those fringe guys. It's a risk. Buyer beware still a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's.
With that being said, I
Yeah.
guess we can get into this week's.
Yeah, let's look at this week. Do you want me to kick things off with? I'll start with at least my forwards here.
Okay.
I put Victor Arvidsson here. He's 40% owned across the leagues. I just think given that Forsberg's out still, he's still getting that number one forward power play minutes, so he's a little bit undervalued. For some reason, he started hitting again. I don't know where that came from. He's averaging probably like 3 or 4, 5 shots a game sometimes now. With Forsberg out, I think as soon as Forsberg's back in the lineup, though, his value goes way, way down.
Yeah.
So that's why I have him in there. He had a hat trick over the weekend too, so it doesn't hurt. Some people might have their eye on him. My next guy up is Riley Smith for the Vegas Golden Knights, only 30% owned, and this is strictly on a Vegas Golden Knights play. Vegas plays 4 games this week, and they're against all the weak opponents with Anaheim and who are they playing tonight? The Sharks, not the Sharks.
San Jose or Arizona, maybe.
Yeah, they play. They're on or LA. They're playing LA.
LA.
So LA and Anaheim this week over 4 games. I just think the way Vegas has been flying, their second line has a lot of potential to get more points than normal on a normal week, and that's Riley Smith. It's a solid line with Marchessault as a big part of it. So that's why I got him. I think he'll get you goals. He can get you shots, assists, all of it, power play points because he's on the second line if it's deep enough. And then this last one's kind of a gamble because right now we don't really know how he fits in with his new team, and that's Anthony Mantha. He's currently 19% owned. I know in my other league people are rushing out to pick him up right away. So a lot of people are going to be taking risks on him. I think it's someone to consider, considering that they're still kind of looking for that other piece. I don't see him being on power play 1. I do see him being power play 2, but I don't know that they really have a bunch of centers that with the right wingers, they don't need to necessarily be on the first line in Washington to rack up the points. So he's a very solid depth forward with that team. Again, it's for deeper leagues for sure.
I like the ad. I think he has sneaky upside.
Exactly.
I think at 19%, that's probably half of where he should be owned.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll see how high that ceiling is. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. Did you have any other bodies for the buying category?
No, I didn't really see anyone in defense. I had Perioko again. He popped up for me, and then I saw that we talked about him last week. So no goalies. Like for me, goalies, anyone that's below 50% was garb. Anyway, like you could probably go up to 70%. It was pretty thin.
I'm not gonna lie. I had 3 goalies, so maybe I'll start there since you challenged that. Yeah. The highest percentage, which is we're capping the buy at, is 55%. Would be Chris Driedger out of Florida. I think there was some inflation with people thinking maybe he was going to be traded, but even then, his statistics over the last calendar year basically are substantially better than Bobrovsky's. And if Florida has any trouble here with Bobrovsky more so than he's giving them, I think that, I mean, he's already starting every other game. So yeah. I think he's only a couple starts one way or another away from playing 2 of every 3 games. And if that's the case on a Florida team, he's a must own at that point. And out of the other 2 guys I was debating at the time, I felt he was the most merited to put in. But if I could put another one in, it would be Ben Bishop. However, most leagues are basically winding down.
Yeah.
Ben Bishop's coming back in 2 weeks now. If you happen to be in a league that goes right up to the end of the season, maybe he's a guy that you stash if you're on a bye week or something as like a free goalie ad down the road in the final week.
That's a good call.
But what's that worth?
Yeah, not a lot, but it's just something to keep an eye on if you weren't thinking about it.
Yeah, I'd put him on my watch list. Let's put it that way. And see how that shakes out. The other guy who I actually ended up moving down to the sell category is a guy I personally own in my other league and have been paying a lot of attention to, and that's Alex Nedeljkovic out of Carolina. He was an honorable mention potential for buy, but when I found out that James Reimer was starting tonight and that they didn't trade any goalies out of Carolina, which was the smart play, it just unfortunately hurts them because they're going to want to get Mrazek in. They're going to want to keep Reimer seeing pucks, and they're going to want Nedeljkovic in the net as well. So, like, if there's 3 games a week, I don't think you can count on getting more than one, if that, out of Nedeljkovic, even though it might be a shutout. Like, so it's I feel like it's one of those things where if the right night he's available as a flex ad, get him.
Yeah.
But totally. I don't think you can roster him right now. And that's why I moved him to sell.
And just while you're on that, and I found this super weird to me with Jonas Johansson from Colorado, who played back-to-back games for them. They bring in Dubnyk, and then I'm looking at him, and I'm seeing him in the trend category as being added more than he's being dropped right now. And I can't quite understand what's going on there. What was it? 84 ads today when I was looking, and only 4 drops. I don't know what people are thinking. So to me, that's a sell. Like, he's not worth much.
I think that's people, uneducated people for the most part, being like, oh, this guy must be good, and he's on Colorado, so his trend is going to go up. Not he had the quick dip, and like now it's
normally you on a Monday though, you see goalies that were in his position start dropped by the masses, but it just it didn't happen. Maybe
that is kind of weird.
I don't know. Maybe people somehow think Grubauer lost the net to him. I don't know. He didn't. Like, let's call a spade a spade.
I guess the one potential question is if they didn't dress Grubauer back to back and they're giving him a mental time off or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
If he comes back and he shits the bed again and Dubnyk has a good game, now all of a sudden we're talking about a different conversation.
Possibly.
Not even about Johansson, right? Yep. And I think that the addition of Johansson might even speak more about the potential concern of Grubauer more so than Johansson himself.
Quite possible.
But who knows? That's kind of strange. But moving to my buy category for forwards, I actually have a bit of a unique situation here. I have 3 guys who are more of a roster flexibility. In some leagues where there's just forwards, these guys, you know what, probably are further down the lineup. Or in terms of who we want to talk about. Yeah. But if you're in a fantasy league where you have left wing, center, and right wing, these guys are going to be extremely valuable for you down the last little stretch here. Yanni Gourde, Jeff Carter, Nick Foligno. The 3 of them all have 3 forward eligibility. They all have left wing, center, and right wing. They all have the potential to play center. They all have the potential to be on the power play at any given time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they've got a low floor, but they've got a high ceiling as well. Tampa's got a couple injuries as well right now. So Gourde's seeing a lot of time. So I had Yanni Gourde 55% owned, so he was almost capped out too. Then Jeff Carter at 15% going to play with Crosby on a depleted forward Penguins lineup right now. He could be a sneaky ad just above replacement level out of 15, going from 15% probably up to around 60% in terms of value.
Yeah,
overnight.
Maybe at least 50. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
And Foligno won't be as valuable, but the fact that I think he's going to want to make a name for himself coming into Toronto. He's already said the right things on the radio, or in interviews, I should say. He basically said his gut feeling was Toronto was the right place to go. I think he's going to want to come here and probably drop the gloves and like throw his body around and say basically like, yeah, I might not score, but I can do all these other things that I know. His dad played for the Leafs. He knows what Leaf fans expect out of him. Basically what I'm trying to say is if you're in a penalty league and hits category league, I think he could be more valuable than these other guys, because who knows, he could even end up taking some draws on the penalty kill, which would also help his block shots. So more peripherals addition. Not really going to stuff anything, no like stat stuffing, but he could contribute enough across the board that could make him valuable.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm just going to move on here to Binnington. I have him in my hold category, and you kind of touched on it earlier. St. Louis, I just feels they're going to get the ship turned around like that. The past couple of weeks, it's not the reality of what St. Louis is. And I've seen a lot on the boards and that is that people have given up on Binnington. And thrown him away over, and he's been trending down in ownership the past couple of weeks. So I would just personally, I would have held him, keep holding him going forward. The West kind of has that better. As long as you're not facing Colorado or Vegas, you kind of have the benefit of facing easier teams, maybe. But so that's why I have Binnington, and we kind of already mostly touched on that with the St. Louis.
I must just say, though, that I'm shocked St. Louis didn't make any kind of substantial move specifically to bring in a goalie. And on top of that, I thought it could have been Bernier. I'm shocked that Bernier didn't get moved today. But
yeah, I was shocked about that too. I thought he was like the number one slam dunk move.
I thought it was already a done deal.
It must be that they must know that Bernier is going to stay there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Something, who knows, right? Like it doesn't really make sense at this point. I'm sure we'll figure something out in a little bit.
Yep.
Some more information, like maybe if he resigns, then that's an indicator. But yeah, that's kind of why I had for forward Tarasenko, same thing. I feel like there was a lot of uncertainty with their team. If you look at history over the last couple of years, St. Louis, can't remember if it's the last two or two of the last three, have traded away a top player of theirs at the deadline and still tried to contend. So there was the Hoffman rumors. There were some of these other rumors about Jane Schwartz and Vince Dunn and these other guys. I feel like they were under the spotlight more than other people about, hey, you might be traded because you're on the Blues. Like the Blues have done it before. They're the one team that has the track record of doing this. Trade deadline passes, I think they're all going to have the confidence of like, hey, it's on us now. And yeah. I think that they're going to reflect and look inwards, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them run off a streak. I don't know what their schedule is. I could be saying this, and they could be running up against, Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota for the next 7 games, and that could change how I really think. I haven't looked at it, that depth.
No, for sure.
In terms of
I think they have a little bit of the easier guys too. like, I agree with you for sure. I haven't gone deep. I think with the mentality in there, it's going to be like that for sure.
Yeah, and another forward I picked up was, or for hold, was Philip Forsberg. If anybody's crazy enough to drop him in your league, grab him and hold him. He's probably still going to be out for another week or so. But again, if you're in a league that still has 2-3 weeks left on that landing strip, then you got time.
Yep.
Add him and stash him. But that being said, he's probably rostered on most leagues. So whoever has him, just keep holding him. Don't drop him if you have enough IR spots. Defenseman, I picked up Brent Burns. I know he's been dropped in both of my leagues at one point. One of my leagues, and I own him in the other league, and I've debated dropping him at some points during the season. I put him in the hold category just because similar things to St. Louis. I don't think they're going on a run, but I think that they're basically going to say, like, it's on us now. Burns has had a couple good games in the last few. It's kind of been all or nothing, a really good game and then nothing. But the good games have been good. They've been almost old school Burns, a little bit light on the shots, a little bit light on the blocks, but that probably reflects on him not getting as much, 5-on-5 matchups and penalty kills and stuff like that, where he's going to get those blocks. But I think that he's still a hold. I don't think he's a drop quite yet. And in net, another hold is Markstrom. I think in Calgary, he's going to face a lot of rubber now that Redditch has been traded.
Yeah.
He's basically going to get the net here on out if he's healthy. He's going to get a lot of saves, not a lot of wins. So again, if you're in a loss category league, maybe not the best advice. But if you're in a wins category league only with save percentage, I think he could really be, that tandem backup guy that really helps you stuff the stats.
Yep, for sure. Reminds me a lot of what Shesterkin kind of brings on the east side.
Yep, that's a good call, actually. And then into sell mode. This one was really easy for me. We talked about it. And
it's about time. Is it time to finally cut ties with them?
It's funny because I was actually going to drop him for Yanni Gourde in my league. And then I had to get up and I ended up making breakfast, took the dog for a walk, and then I forgot. And then like a couple hours later, I looked at my computer and somebody had added him. And I was like, crap. And then I realized it was a team out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I was like, at least it's on a team that's not going to hurt me.
Exactly. I went to drop Lane today for Mantha. But the last place team added Mantha. It's just like, okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, whatever. You don't get that ticket, but if it doesn't work out, at least, or if it does work out, it's nothing that's going to hurt you, exactly. Right? So it's like, whatever. At least they're stashed somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. I still have him just for the record, just because there's no one that like screams at me. But I also have Nedeljkovic, who I'm telling to sell. And originally, like, had you asked me 24 hours ago, my next drop would have been Line. But now, because I'm seeing what's happening in Carolina, I'm more inclined to keep Line just because he has 4 games next week. Maybe because the trade deadline's done. Maybe Columbus fires Torts this week. Maybe.
Maybe.
That's just me throwing something out at the wall. But I'm just saying, like, who knows? Something that could drastically change his performance between here and 4 games from now. That's basically what I'm looking at him for now, just because there's no one else that's forcing my hand.
I might have to scout. I haven't watched a Columbus game in weeks, just so maybe it's time to scout out the Laine talent.
Yeah, I think that could be potential, but I know he's not. I know that just the way they're putting him, like I know that they have him on the like I know they have him in the Ovechkin spot on the power play, but no one's getting him the puck clean. / people are just staying up top on him. So like you're not going to get shots when you're trying to shoot it through 4 bodies from basically the blue line, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's crippling him right now, from what I've seen. So we'll see, but yeah, the one I put down here for you, and you actually took it out here. Why'd you take it out?
Gaudreau?
Why'd you take it out? I thought that was a slam dunk for you.
No. I would, like, had it not been playoffs and Calgary had 1 game last week, I would have never dropped him.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I dropped him last week. Gaudreau, like, he's been terrible, but he's still very, very much rosterable. If you can get something better back in return, albeit, but I don't think he'll give you the value you need and that he can provide. I still like he's definitely decent. Like that's why I delete him. I would definitely keep him on my roster if it wasn't for
fair enough
for last week.
Fair enough. I thought for sure it was a slam dunk because you dropped him and you were kind of chirping him a little bit, but I see where you're coming from now.
Yeah, so that was just strictly a strategy move for. I'm in the semis. I can't waste a roster spot all week. And at the time when I dropped him, he wasn't even expected to play Saturday.
So, and you know you're not keeping him, so.
And I know I'm not keeping him in our fantasy league, so he's
invaluable.
No one's gonna trade for. No one's gonna trade to keep him.
Yeah, well, I think Steve's gonna keep him now.
What? Oh my God!
That's why I think
Steve is silly if he wastes his first on. Well, I guess.
But if he gets traded, right? Because he has time to wait and see. If he gets traded after the season, before expansion, before the deadline to determine the keepers for our league. If he gets traded to a team X, let's name a team. I think it's going to be Philly, just for the record, just because that's where he's from. He said in the past he wants to sign there, basically. I don't know who they'd send back, but I think it's there. But if he ends up playing on the top power play with, Giroux and whoever, he should probably get a lot of points next year. But we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know.
I still think he's a sell.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I should have never drafted him to begin with. Not that my replacement was any better at this time of the season, because my other choice was Forsberg, and he was out, so it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
But I just have never been a firm believer in Johnny Hockey since he had that 1 year, and ever since, in my mind, he's just been.
He's tainted because. There's the tease that he'll ever reobtain that level. The only way he'd ever reobtain that level is like if he went to like the Leafs, but the Leafs traded Nylander, and then they ended up having Tavares hurt, so he played a bazillion minutes with Matthews and Marner.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we have to remember when he put up all those points, Calgary was trying to mimic Boston in the top line and then everyone else. They basically played every minute that was important in every offensive start, and like I think he was 4th in the league in shots on goal.
Yeah,
I don't think he's anywhere close this year.
This year you'll have games where he gets goose eggs a couple times a week, and you can't
have that.
No,
you can't. No,
he was very good for power play points. I'll give him that.
Yes. Again, he needs help, right? But it's a good conversation. I'm surprised you took him off. Maybe that should have been a guy we put in hold. That probably would have been a good spot for hold.
That's a good call. I should have just moved where he was instead of just delete him altogether.
Oh, well, this thing's adapting. Things we'll figure out as we go, right?
Yeah, let's move on to our specific
yeah.
league. The dropping Klefboms. That's what everyone.
Oh, hold on. I had two more guys that quickly.
Oh, you did?
I had more. Yeah, I had Sal, Morgan Riley. Leafs power play. Too many pucks to go around. Too much time to go around. Not enough points to go around. He'll get a lot of third assists. So I think he's just done really being a contributor. Him himself as well. One good season. He had, I think, 57 assists.
I fell for him a couple times this year.
I tried too. I think he had 2/3 of his 50 whatever assists on the power play that one year, which inflated his rank, which made him seem so much more valuable. He doesn't shoot a whole ton. He doesn't hit a whole ton. He doesn't block a lot of shots. So I don't think he's a lot of valuable. Or he brings a lot of valuable. I don't think he brings a lot of value to anybody. Sorry. Yeah. And then another Toronto Maple Leaf I was going to sell on is Freddie Anderson. I think the acquisition of Riddich basically is the writing on the wall that Freddie's done for the season. Yep. Sure, he might be ready to go in the playoffs, but I'm counting him out in the regular season. So with playoffs ending for a lot of leagues now or in the next couple of weeks, I don't think he'll be on the map to play a game for anybody until basically all leagues are done. So
yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
And then again, we already touched on Nedeljkovic, 3-goalie system, not going to get the playing time. If one of the Carolina goalies gets hurt, he's a guy you want immediately, but we'll see how that goes.
Sounds good. All right, let's move
now
on to the dropping Klefboms. Yeah. So our Dynasty League was in semifinals week, first week of consolation, and the 5-6 matchup. We'll start by the waiver wires, or how we normally start off. So we had a couple waiver wire ads in our league, 2, I think, right?
Yep. The first one was Chris Letang. I dropped his ass. Sean picked him up for $18. I think he assumed that there was going to be a bit of bids on him. Letang's a valuable guy. He unlike Riley, shoots and hits. And in a PIMS league, he occasionally loses his mind and takes dumb penalties or fights or gets kicked out of games and stuff. So occasionally he'll pop off for penalty minutes as well.
Yeah, he's pretty good on all the peripherals, blocks and all that as well.
Yeah. He's valuable there. And the other one was Anton Cadobin from Jesse. Jesse actually dropped, I believe it was Kakinen to get him for $2. And that was the day after that he got ruined after Grubauer got ruined. So that was just, I think, a security measure for Jesse to try and get something.
Just a little disclosure. Turned out to be a big mistake on his part because he added him thinking he didn't pay attention. He didn't realize that Chicago was actually playing that day. So he actually had 3 goalies playing, and he didn't even play Hudobin on the day he added him. Lucky for him, Hudobin played back-to-back games and played Sunday as well. So he played Saturday and Sunday. Full disclosure, I'm spilling Jesse's secrets right now on the podcast.
Well, secrets aren't secrets when they're in the past, and it doesn't change anything moving forward.
Exactly. That's a good call. All right. What's next? Last week, right? Last week's predictions.
Well, the one thing I just wanted to point out is I know you and I had talked offline, and I don't recall if you had given me a number, but I had kind of just said to you, like, what do you think the over-under is for how many ads are going to happen this week with everybody fighting for stuff? I threw out a number 37.5. Did you think that was a fair number at the time?
I don't remember what I thought. 37.5. That's about 4. I think would have thought more, to be honest, because just doing quick math, that's only like 4 a team, and I would expect most teams to be going all in.
But you also got to keep in track that I had no moves, so I wouldn't have been making any moves.
Steve had no moves either.
Steve had no moves, so that's 2 teams that wouldn't have made any.
And then there's Joey. Who made a record amount of moves in his career in 1 week.
In his 1 week. Yeah, so that's 3.5 guys, right, that aren't really making moves. So that's kind of how I got to 37.5.
No, I think it's pretty fair, yeah. Ended up being more, wow.
45, yeah.
Most people, everyone that could have probably maxed by those.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. So I just found that interesting. I thought that was pretty cool that it was up there. I think that probably is our highest week yet. So I like it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if we get into last week now, I put them in order here just of importance.
Yeah, I got all the scores on the screen right now too of how it finished. Funny enough, you have them in order of importance, so
yeah. So I put mine and versus Nick first, just because it was the least at stake.
Yeah.
After him and I concluded our matchup, we're both done now. We're the only two teams that are playing for absolutely nothing anymore. We've already been decided as the two most average teams in the league.
Right smack dead in the middle, yeah.
Right in the middle, which I think is pretty much where everyone would have expected us to finish. So that's pretty much right on par with what I kind of expected, I guess. Not gonna lie, I didn't really pay attention this week, which is funny because I tried against Nick the 2 weeks in the rivalry week and he kicked my butt both weeks. And then I just put my hands in the air with no ads and said, beat me. Like, all you have to do is beat me. Like, it's on you if you don't beat me. And he didn't. So I got the W, which means that my couple draft picks that I still own are that one slot higher than they would have been. Very minimal.
Yeah, but you're 5th place instead of 6th place. So that, and you can say you did better than Nick.
Well, I can say that I didn't get swept by Nick, which makes me happy. I would have been annoyed having
higher in the standings. That's better.
Yeah, but he still beat me twice, which
not a lot of people not going to come out here and say you did better than Jamie. So what's the difference?
No, I know. I'm just saying. Technically, if you want to grasp at straws, he did beat me twice. I don't think there's anyone else that beat anyone else twice this year. I think maybe Dylan beat Sean twice, maybe. No.
Ben lost twice, didn't he? Oh no, he tied once. No, Ben lost.
He tied one. No, I think he tied one in rivalry week.
Tied one, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I think I was the only one that had 2 losses. So I would have gone 0-3, which would in the future, well, prorated, I guess, because of a short season, I would have been the only person to ever lose 3 times in a season, right? So that would have been a really shitty stain to carry around for a while. So I'm glad I don't have that.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, that's pretty much all that needs to be said. I ended up coming out with the W. It was a weekend shutout from Vasilevsky that pretty much got me the W. And yeah.
All right, what's the next one on that list?
I have Ben versus Sean.
All right, just have the list hidden because I have the screen open on showing it. So, all right, Ben versus Sean. I thought Sean had this one in the bag.
Me too.
What happened? Goalies.
I don't know.
Oh my god! I thought I had a bad goalie week. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
836. Yeah. Wow, 1 win.
With how many saves? 200-ish. 180.
No, not like quite. That? 133. But still. But still.
That's still 5 starts, 6 starts.
Yeah. Wow. That's I guess that makes sense why these guys are down there. But Ben's not going to be last. He gets his first win of the season.
He gets the first W when it matters.
When it matters. Yeah, his team came to play. Matthews puts up
his
points.
Picks don't really mean anything because he traded them all.
Oh yeah. What?
Wow. He's got picks that are all keepers early.
Yeah.
And then he's got picks between, I think, 7 and 9. And then he's got a couple picks late.
Is he still planning on keeping Lane?
I believe so, yeah. I would if I was him. Why not?
Because isn't he like a 3rd rounder?
Yeah.
Well,
I would.
He could have Landeskog instead.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
There's a deal to be had here. Send him my way. Okay. I'll go after him. Not much.
Yeah, you'll have to go after him. He ain't coming after you.
True that. All right. Next up, we got Rocketries.
Jesse and Steve.
So I was talking to Jesse last night, and he threw me off guard because I thought he had it in the bag. He's like, he's telling me it's super close, and then I'm looking at the results here, and I'm like, where was it super close? It seemed pretty over going Sunday. He said he was sweating, needed Hudobin to win. I'm not sure why, but maybe he saw something I didn't see.
To be honest, I didn't really look at that matchup really closely. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really pay a lot of attention this week to fantasy.
Commissioner, it's okay. Jesse wins though. He was my pick to win the bracket. So
I think that's who I picked too. We'll get to that in a minute, but I think that's who I had picked as well. But yeah, then we had the 2 finals, which is hilarious because I had noted here that both championships had ties.
Yeah, both. What a brutal way to end a season on a tie. It's like soccer. I feel like I'm playing soccer, man, and you go out on a tie. It's the worst.
Well, see, I actually look at it slightly different because when you go in, you know who has tiebreak, right?
Of course, yeah.
So you know you can't tie. So you know you have to either beat them or you know a tie is a win. So even though it's 6-6, it's really 7-6.
No,
or even
agreed,
though it's
agreed. And
5-5,
I'm
it's
not
really
gonna.
6-5.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly. I knew it, and that's why I was so focused on my strategy. And we'll get to it in a sec. Let's start with the other group. Um, Beefy and Rundles, they had a battle, man. It's 6-6 final. It pays to be good in the regular season, right? That's the whole point
yeah.
of the tiebreak. You had a good season, you win President's Trophy, and you get the extra bonus of this. So like,
And that's why every week is important. Even if you have a shitty week, you still have to try, because it could be that 1 week. It could be those 4 shots on goal. It could be that goalie you add at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night.
yeah,
That's the difference of not only that 1 week, but in the playoffs, the tiebreak.
that
Like,
game-winning goal that where Dubois scored the game-winning goal in overtime cost me my season.
basically, yeah. Yeah.
What?
Like I bet you that if you track everyone who didn't win back, there's 1 to 3 moments within their season that it's like, this is why I lost. And then the winner will be like, and this is why I won.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it will be clear.
It's puck luck, right? That's what hockey. But
exactly.
This was intense.
Yeah.
Offensive categories went to Beefy, which scares the hell out of me because my offense is my weak point right now, and my goal. And he would have smashed me in goalies had we played. So like, I'm in trouble going into the third round matchup here.
Yeah, but he's just adding guys that have value as keepers, and he's just gonna take what happens to him. I get the sense that between you, I know I'm kind of jumping to this week, but because you both lost, both you and Dylan, I feel like both of you had such high hopes and high expectations on yourselves and your own team that like anything but the final was a letdown.
Yeah.
And now that you're playing in the final, both of you are like, yeah, there's some pride. Yeah, there's $75, but like, I don't care. Like, I care a small bit, but like, I don't care. It's just funny
because
biggest
value to me isn't the 75. It's I'll get to draft Nathan McKinnon 7th instead of 6th.
I guess, yeah. And there will be some value. If nobody traded picks, there'd be value of trading within each round, right? Like we have in past years. But this year, if you look at the way that the picks have been traded, there's a lot of teams that have pockets. So, like, for example, I have half the picks in the 13th and 14th rounds, and I only have a couple flexibility picks. Where I was looking at the other day to see, starting to maybe work on some foundations for trades of moving picks around. I realized that, like, I can't remember the team off the top of my head, but there's one team who has like 5 picks between the 7th and the 9th. And there's another team who has like 6 picks between like the 4th and the 7th. So like there's these pockets where these teams are going to go bang, bang, bang. So like if their keepers are within those pockets, there's not going to be a lot of value for moving around unless you happen to match up nicely with that team. So last year there was a bazillion little trades to try and like manipulate and navigate, get the best advantage that you could. This year, I'd honestly put the over under at like 5 to 6. Like I don't think there's going to be a lot.
Take a deeper look for sure, but I just
want. We'll have to wait till the petitions are more so finalized. But yeah,
I'm gonna just run over my defeat. I had one strategy, and it came down to one thing. I needed to win goalie wins to win. So I just went ham ball on goalies. As you can see, I had 303 saves on the week, which is probably a league record.
Must be.
And I really had to chase because Grubauer sank me early in the week. Jake Allen continued to sink. Like, he found the hole in the ship, and he ripped it apart. Couldn't even get me a 1 win. I add him knowing he's going 3 games in 4 nights, and he can't even do that for me. The whole week came down to Sunday night, as per usual. I had 4 win conditions. None of them came true. Totally heartbreaking. I was getting my last desperation chance at a win was Boston scoring 5 goals in 10 minutes. Had a shot, but it didn't happen. But yeah, it was a fun week. It was super stressful.
I know you were sweating it.
I was sweating it, and it could have been an easy win had I just not had to chase goalie so hard. Could have been a win, but Grubauer, that son of a gun, he got me to here, so I can't hold him too much into it. But
and that's the funny thing is because I was watching the Dallas-Nashville game, which was the final game of the night, and I was watching it, and after the conclusion of the first period, I kind of had looked around the league, and I just had made the assumption that a lot of things were just done.
Yeah.
Then when I poked around a little further, almost every matchup had still yet to be decided, at least within the last 2 hours of the night, let's say.
It's like that a lot of weeks in our league.
It was close. And that's what I was going to say, is that a couple people had texted me just saying like that they're sweating, and I kind of was sitting back because I was just relaxing. But like, it makes me happy that like, some people are, I won't call it upset because it's not really the right word, but like disappointed or like upset that they didn't come out the better end of things. That means that's a good thing, right? It means people care. It means people are trying. It means that there's something that's actual of value winning. So like, that's a good thing. And it means that people are still engaged through all of this. Now, I've had a couple of people text me who have not really enjoyed this season because of all the postpones and all these other things. And like, I get it. I hope the season doesn't ruin it for some people. I have my fingers crossed, and I'm just assuming this is just going to be a year that we just ignore, move on, like the lockout year, whatever. It's where you have that asterisk, you move on. I hope next year is basically a full season and we don't deal with this. I hope that's the case. And if that's the case, then we never have to really talk about that again. But if we have to go through another season of COVID, I think it would challenge the desire of the long-term future
I gotta
of the
admit,
league.
early in the season, I lost 2 weeks because my postponements they were getting too much. It definitely was.
Yeah.
So
and like, it sucked. That's why I don't like to double up on the best of years, like on multiple guys on the same team. But I'm not gonna lie. Like, when people do double or triple up and then there's postpones, like I know Nick had mentioned to me that I think he had 2 or 3 guys in the other league, and the one game postponed, he lost 3 games, right? And I'm like, you can't count it that way, because you chose to stack up. You're only missing 1 game, but you have 3 players. Where if you choose not to stack, unless you have a guy on the opposing team, then you don't lose as many games. And that's why I'm a believer of that.
Just to add to also what I learned this season about stacking and why another reason not to do it, game-winning goals. Because if the team wins, only one of those players can get it. And
that's another factor for me.
And game-winning goals is another one of those things that I sucked at. I'm not necessarily saying that because I had 2 Colorado players, that's the reason. But
it muzzled you. It limited your opportunities for sure.
Yeah, I could have definitely had another player in there that has 100% chance instead of, only one of these 2 guys can get it instead of both guys can get it on a given week. So it makes
it. And in a normal season as well, games played. If you have 3 guys on a team that has 2 games that week, that's only your fault. It's not your fault, but it's only you who's losing out. So you chose to stack on that team. Like, sometimes you get pinned in on it. Sometimes you find a guy on waivers and you're like, well, I guess I got to ride with it. But like, if you have 2 guys of the exact same caliber, position, output, whatever, I will go with the non-stacking on the same team 10 out of 10 times personally. And that's just a belief I have. But to each their own. It's been annoying as hell. So I can't blame anybody for that. But I'm also kind of glad that we're at the end. We can take a break and hopefully come back at this fresh next year.
Sounds good. All right, let's take a look at these, the week matchups this week.
I was just going to say one last thing with the 60 ads.
Yeah.
Two teams are at 60, and 4 will reach, assuming they use maximum ads this week, will reach 60. So we'll have 6 teams out of 10 that will reach the max desired ads.
I know, yeah.
That's
I'll
pretty
join
good
in for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, now let's get into the predictions for this.
All right, we'll start with the 9th place game between Steve and Beer Buds.
Are you going? Sorry, I was going to say, are you going first?
For what?
For the predictions for this upcoming.
Yeah, I can. I entered my predictions, so.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got sidetracked in my brain there for a half second because I just wanted to mention we didn't discuss you versus Joey in the final. That you went to the double tie break because we mentioned there was 2 ties, but you were the only one that went to the double tie break.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah, because we tied during the regular season, and again, that was another one of those ones where he tied me in the last game of the night.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Wasn't it a Leonard game or something like that?
No, it was a shot. It was either a shot on goal or a hit or something. Or no, it was Kane. It was Patrick Kane popping off against Detroit for like 4 points.
Oh right, yes. Yeah, I remember that. We watched the game kind of together that night. I remember that.
Yeah, I'd rather just forget about it and move on. So, if you don't mind, let's just get
let's get into it. So again, I kind of organized them in, terms of importance or whatever. As you can see, there's only 4.
Yeah.
Because Nick and I are done, so there's no point talking about us anymore.
Yeah, I figured the first one was Steve and Beers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. For the 3-4 slotting. Yep.
Yep.
So consolation losers.
The consolation loser bracket, basically playing to not be last place in the whole pool.
Yes.
So, draft picks 3 and number 4. Yeah, you're right.
Other than Nick and my positioning, which at least we made the playoffs, but then we sucked out, the worst positioning is 3-4, because that means you didn't make the playoffs and you also didn't win in the playoffs in consolation.
Yeah.
So it's like the worst place you could be. So.
Yep, for sure.
Who do you got?
I got Steve.
Yeah.
After watching Beer Buds lose to Ben, I can't bet on him. I'm sorry. That was really my reasoning. I didn't look at anything else.
That's not bad. I picked Steve just because I looked at the matchup for goalies, and offense. Steve's offense and shots on goal has been there from the start. Really, their offense, both in the same caliber, are one and the same.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit more worried about Sean's goalies.
Just looking at Sean's roster even right now, there's a bunch of holes in it. Like I don't know what's going on. He's probably given up. Like if I were him, I wouldn't even.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? Like he only needs one more win now. Well, is it a winner? Who owns the tiebreak? Steve owns the tiebreak, so he's got to beat Steve for the top pick, which is not as important this year because, especially for him, who's got his first. Well, Sean's got his first, second, third, and fourth, I think, or first, second, third, and third as keepers. So like, it's irrelevant for him. Yeah. But if he happens to match up for trades, then it could bring him value. Well,
I don't know. Like
the road.
The only thing if I were him, I'd be worried because it pretty much cancels out your President's Trophy win when you come last. You basically just become like everyone forgets. So.
That's last season. That's so 2020, Sean.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
All right, let's go on to the Constellation Championship.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got Jesse. That's who I got.
Yeah.
But
Ben can't do it twice in a row.
No. Yeah. Well. Yeah. If it does come down to goalies, though. That could be a big thing. Don't look too closely because there are spoilers if you're planning on watching the Leafs game or later. But yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I just got Jesse. I just think his team's better. And again, Ben's had one win, and Jesse had a chance at playoffs at one point. And I know Jesse really wants that first overall pick, which who wouldn't? It gives you an extra free keeper, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my assumption there.
Yeah, I got that. And Jesse owns double tiebreaker. There's 2 double tiebreakers this week. So Jesse owns that. So I don't think Ben can outright beat Jesse. Maybe they tie, but then he's got the tiebreak. So that's why I went with Jesse.
That's a good call too,
yeah. But then if we move to the next matchup, who do we got again? We have you and Dylan.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm thinking I put Dylan as the win in the spreadsheet, but I'm not going to do that. I'm betting on myself. So, like, if I did do that,
I'll change it.
It's got to be changed.
I changed it.
Did I actually do that?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. It's probably more realistic, but I don't know. I'm betting on myself. I'm feeling confident now after talking this through for a little bit here. I think the one thing to note is I do have the tiebreak in this one. It's the double tiebreak, like you said, because we tied during the regular season, and it's quite possible. Could you imagine Dylan falling apart down the stretch and then losing to tie because he fell apart down the stretch that he loses the tiebreaks?
That would suck so bad. Oh man, that would be so rough.
It's almost like the writing is on the wall for that to be the exact thing that happens, but.
I'm not gonna lie. Your matchup is the one I'm most intrigued with, just because like I said, you both are disappointed. You guys are both kind of already at the bottom peg. Yet I still think there's a lower peg for both of you.
No matter what happens, one of us is gonna be even more upset. Yeah, it's pretty.
Like you're both ready to just like turn the page on this season, but like one of you is gonna have a further thing to jot down where you're just like, I was done already. Like, why more?
Seriously. I'm not gonna be as emotionally invested this week. At least I'll play my heart out.
I don't think you can care, but look at it this way: it's free entry for yourselves for next year, basically, right?
Yeah, and he does have the added advantage on me, because I don't have the max. I can't use all 7. He can, so that should benefit him. Might force me.
But he also used his ads on guys he wants to potentially keep. Yeah, he added Binnington, he added Miller.
He went a little nuts this morning, but Binnington's a good goalie to have this week. Like that's not going to hurt. Miller, on the other hand, he's planning to keep him in the second round. He's a little drunk, but I'll let him do that.
Yeah, I think there's like 7 or 8 guys that he's just considering. So I think he just was like, you know what? If I fucked up this year, I'm just going to grab up everybody I might want to keep. And when it's time, I'll make my decision. Yeah. And then,
that's fair.
Who knows, right? Maybe somebody else likes a guy that he just grabbed and he turns it into another pick, right? Like who knows?
Yeah, this specific game could be over before it even starts. If I put Jonathan Quick in net tonight against Vegas and he gets destroyed,
don't do that. Don't do that.
I might have to.
Oh God. I have to. But it's funny because in our yearly tracker predictions, originally we were just doing regular season, but now I just want to do it for the full season because of all the predictions that we can do. You're down 1 on me. So you're at 29 correct on the year. I'm at 30. But by you changing to your guess between you and Dylan, and the one other matchup we have different, now with you changing that, one of us is definitely going to win. You could overtake me, or I could end up beating you by a couple. So that was a bold move.
Is that what you have Dylan?
That's not why I had Dylan. I had Dylan already.
No, I know you had Dylan. Oh, I mean, I didn't know you had Dylan. I didn't know your picks yet. I didn't look.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I had Dylan.
So we haven't had a different one yet. So we must have a different one for the finals.
No, so we had different for Steve and Steve playing Sean.
You have beer butts?
I have Sean. Oh, yeah, I have Sean over Steve. Okay. And then so the rest of them are the same.
Wait, can I just go back to betting on Dylan then?
Why?
Because then I know Steve's gonna win, so we'll tie.
Well, yeah, you don't want to beat me. Okay. You don't want to beat me for guessing on yourself.
Fair enough. I'm in this predicament because I didn't bet on myself to begin with, so.
Right. So if you predict on yourself now and you're right, you'll actually come back and beat me in this entire game. If you lose, then you just sucked and you lost anyways.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, the rest of the matchups kind of spoiled it there. We have the same, but that being said, the last one we need to get to is Jamie and Joey.
Yeah. I don't know why I picked Jamie, to be honest. Like looking at how I just struggled so hard with Joey and knowing how his team is just strong everywhere, I can really see Joey winning this one. I think this is going to be a very close final.
Have you seen the ads that Jamie's been doing lately?
No.
He's been nailing them, man.
Okay.
He's been doing really well. Like he added Ristolainen the one night who had 6 hits and I think it was 2 shots on goal, and he ended up winning by 4 hits on the week.
Yeah, the one benefit that Jamie does have over me, as long as he doesn't get another Grubauer-like hole, is that he won't be in a Grubauer-like hole. So that's the only thing Joey can get going for him is if the guy gets, well, maybe I'm speaking too soon without any spoilers. He's got Hellebuck and net, not doing so hot so far. maybe he's gonna be in a Grubauer-like hole. Because Joey's goalies are definitely performing, and Jari is good. He's getting the job done. And Jari has Buffalo this week.
Yeah, I saw that. I noticed that, which is going to be not very good for for Jamie. But I still have Jamie. Just I want to see. I mean, I was talking to Joey, and I told him I wanted to see him win, which I wasn't really lying. I do want to see Joey win because like I want to see a team win that basically didn't do any ads all year because like that would set the precedent that
you don't need to do
any different way. You can win all different kinds of ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also want to see Jamie win because he won Presidents. He's been the best team all year. And then I can also claim that I was the only blemish on his record.
Get out of here. Get out of here. You're going to be the New York Giants to his Patriots. That's what you're hoping for.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I think that pretty much wraps it up then for us here on Fantasy Hour, dropping Klefboms, getting good picks and whatnot.
Yeah, the last thing, I know you had texted me. I just wanted to touch on one last thing just because if anyone's watching and doesn't look or didn't look. Just a reminder, I have the document created, the Klefboms document. If you're watching this and wondering what the fuck I'm talking about, message me. I will send you the link to it. It's a document in Excel that I keep updated, posted, keepers trackers, the payouts, all of this stuff. So that way it's free access to everyone.
Yep.
Anything I have, you can see as well, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say the payouts are structured there, but what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say if you're in the WhatsApp group, you just gotta click the top and then go to the documents and it's in there.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I wouldn't have said that.
That's how.
But the payouts, just for record on here, first place is $275. Second place is $150. Third place is $75. $100 is already going to be paid up to Jamie. Obviously, this year pay-in was $60 per head, 10 teams, 600 pot total. Yep. So that's why it's divided like that. The payouts schedule or grow up each year, or they inflate because each year it's $10 more. I will be making the payouts to everybody within probably 2 weeks, 2 weeks of the final. But I'll also be looking to collect entry for next year just to make sure everyone is fully keen and set and ready to go. And then that way, if they're not, then I have lots of time to
sounds good.
Replace them.
Sounds good. All right, let's enjoy this week. Go scrub Dynasty.
Good luck.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good one.
Later.
Go Jays.